Hello guys and girls, welcome to another Golden Reaper episode. It's been quite a while since I've done my last one, I think about 10 months or so, which, I do apologise for that. So, regarding all the clips in this episode, I've got them all in order of like when the bosses came out rather than when I've got the drops, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do like all of Karapak's drops, all of Glacial's drops, Croesus, Zerk, and then whatever's at the end. So that is the way I'm going to be doing it. So if you're wondering why in some clips I'm going to be wearing like the Zerk cape during Karapak when Zerk hasn't been released, or the same with Glacial if I'm wearing like the Huracan cape, that is the reason why. It's because at the time Zerk wasn't out and I didn't actually have the cape. So also I've done a little bit of channel rebranding. I've changed the YouTube name of my channel to my current RSN. So if you're wondering why the hell some FWB guy is popping up in your YouTube subscriptions, then it is just me. It's just I've put my old RSN onto my alt and I'm fully focused and using obviously my main as my main's RSN to the YouTube channel. So yeah, if you're wondering about that, then that's the only reason why. So with that slightly long intro gone, we can finally start talking about things that are relevant to the current clips in the video. And yeah, pretty much with Karapak, I did all my kills trio because before Glacial came out and any of the other God Wars Dungeon 3 bosses, I think the world record was 127 in a trio. And me, Ryan and Griff were constantly or religiously doing this boss because we all wanted to get the title anyway. And we managed to get our time to 128, which was slightly unfortunate, but yeah, it was good fun to be honest, going for speedy kills and just having a general blast with it. And as you can see there, we finally got the stabilization gem. I think that was that is just to complete the log, and I think that was just over 2k trio kills, maybe 2.1k. Now this was pretty much the day after they updated the Karapak drop rates for the first time. I think they've been updated 2 or 3 times more as well, but I do know some people that have gone over 4k KC and they've still not completed the log, which, that is just a joke to be honest. So moving on then to Glacial, and I did actually quite enjoy this boss to begin with, but as you'll see throughout the video, I slightly get more and more annoyed because of how long it has taken me to get certain drops. But yeah, coming in with the Iceborne title straight away, and then I just decided to push in Rage and get the 2k title, and I found that was quite fun, especially since, again, there was no Zerk cape until later on. But it was nice to do a boss that didn't require like a Berserker aura, and you could just sit there with inspiration and just chill and gain nuts of dread, especially if you're ranging. But yeah, this is a very good boss to learn prayer flicking at. I think you can probably just set up a normal mode instance and just select one mechanic which does the 3 different attack styles, so melee, mage and range. And I think that'll definitely help you guys out that are struggling with prayer flicking get into it and be a pro at it, because it is fairly easy to do. And once you get prayer flicking down, you can pretty much do any bosses, which is essential, especially with high level PBMing. So coming in with the 2k Iceborne title, which is a quite nice title to be fair. The gold one looks quite smart to be honest, which I might end up going for in the near future, but I'll just have to change some of my binds around and add a mage switch in there for the burst damage on the arms, especially since the HP of the arms and the minions scale after 2.5k in rage. So after that was done, I pretty much went back to streaking, and I was just experimenting really because the drop rates weren't confirmed or how rare they were. All we knew is sort of like each 3 unique had sort of like a drop out of 5, and it was sort of, I think the book and the Leng artifact had like a 2 out of 5 drop rate, and then the core had sort of like a 1 out of 5, so the core was a lot rarer than the other 2, which you'll see my log towards the end of this video. So yeah, streaking wise, I decided to do sort of 0 to 500, 0 to 250s, just to experiment really and just to see what the hell was going on, because none of us knew what the drop rates were and how rare stuff was. We all imagined it would be like Telos, where by the time you get to 1k in rage you've got a nuts amount of uniques in there, but it's definitely not the case. But you can see there I got quite lucky and got a double drop of the book and the frozen core, which the frozen cores for me were the ones that I was struggling with the most. I got a bunch of nihilists really early on as well, even though I didn't have a clue what they were, but luckily I claimed all them. So after me getting my first core, I decided just to go for 200 streaks, and I did a couple of them, so that is the first one there. The loot there is quite shocking. The common loot isn't too bad, but for uniques and nihilists, that is a tragic chest. But I can't really complain with the salvage and stuff like that, it was quite a lot. And then that was my second 200 streak as well, so again, no nihilists and only 1 unique drop, that being another Leng artifact. So thinking about it now, with all the Leng artifacts that I've been getting, I probably could buy the specific gloves required to upgrade them, I think they're quite cheap anyway, and I might make a decent profit on them, so I might end up looking at doing that. So after doing two 200 streaks pretty much back to back, I decided to go back to doing 0 to 1k. 0 to 1k took me about 5 hours to do, which wasn't too bad. Like a 200 streak can take, you know, multiple days, and you know, kill times between 7 and 8 minutes are quite a slog. So as you can see there, we got our second and final core, and the log there, yes, you've read that right, over 4k hard mode KC for 2 cores, which is very, very tragic. But I might go back in the future to make a couple more weapons, especially with how many Nihilists I do have in the bank. So moving on to Croesus then, that was the third God Wars Dungeon boss to come out, and yeah, and I got the pet at 5kc, which is sort of like a little pattern going on. I kind of get lucky at getting the pet drops when a new boss releases, so going for Insane Final Boss or getting that title re-unlocked really wasn't too hard for me. So I think I got the Kerapac one at about 470, Glacial at about 179, 180, and then obviously Croesus at 5kc. So we were zooming the boss pets quite well, and to start with, this boss was quite fun. Now figuring out how to do it, to start with we were doing like 7-8 minute kills 4-man because we didn't have a clue what we were doing and the most efficient routes. But when we got the boss down, it was a solid 4-man team, and the kill times were about 6.5 minutes long. We did do a little bit of experimenting with going for quicker kills by just doing 1 mid, not 2, and skipping the final one, and we were getting about 4.5 minute kills, but it really wasn't worth it because the more points you get during Croesus, the better chance of you receiving a unique drop, which is a kind of a shame really, because you would have thought faster kills would have been more rewarding, but at Croesus it's not the case. So Croesus is a great boss to do if you're watching a series or movies, and that's what the majority of us were doing whilst doing this boss. We were just getting through the Marvel films, which we're still yet to do, so I might end up going back to Croesus to help a few friends get the title, just so we can finish off the Marvel series and you know, get ready for whenever new ones come out. But yeah, with my collection log there at 461kc, with me only needing 3 more uniques, I was proper buzzing because I was thinking to myself, I'm going to be done with this log way before 1k KC, and I can just vibe and just go whenever I want then, don't have to be forced to go. So as you can see, we got a Scripture of Bic, which was another unique, so I only needed a helm and a spore sack until the log was done. Also, the Scripture of Bic is worth a mention, and it is very, very useful, especially at Croesus, and if you're into doing clue scrolls. Even if you're not, just stacking them up for maybe like the future when you do decide to do some clues and maybe get lucky and getting a die. I ended up getting about 1100 elites in my time at doing Croesus, and you know, a good amount of hards and a few masters as well. Obviously you get easies and mediums, but I don't really want to look at doing them anytime soon. Also, I forgot to mention, this was the first sort of boss piece of content where mains and Ironmen can PvM together, well, or do something together, which was quite interactive really, and especially since I've got quite a few Ironmen mates, then it was a great thing to do, to be fair, just to bring them along and just to do stuff with them. So yeah, it was all good fun, and hopefully they do that in the future where when they release bosses, I don't know why they can't do that anyway, like on 07. I suppose you've got the carrying aspect and you can just stack out an Iron Man within sort of like a couple of weeks if you're carrying them at the hardest bosses. But I don't know, they're just my thoughts and opinions, and I just feel like it would be fun to do other bosses other than Croesus with irons, just to see how things go and just to have, you know, a bit of a laugh, to be honest. And as you can see there, we finally completed the Croesus log. I think it was just over 1.7k KC. It's a shame there's no broadcast, honestly. So it's like the Glacial log was broken, that only broadcasts after reset. You don't actually get a broadcast at all for the Croesus log, which is a bit of a shame. So moving on with Croesus, we now have Zerk. So when Zerk came out, I didn't really have the FSOA, and that was going through the roof, and I ended up buying my Fractured Staff for I think about 7.1 bill, which I look back and I think that was very expensive, but when I see all the clips and all the drops I've gotten, I've easily made that money back plus more. And obviously I all bought myself all Crit Bloom as well, which was essential pretty much for doing Zerk, especially to start with, just to camp it and use Animate Dead and see how things go. So to do hard mode, you need to unlock the hard mode variant by completing normal mode 3 times and getting all 3 different capes, I do believe. I feel like the biggest part of this fight where you want to get consistent at is one cycling Harak, and if you get that down, then you can easily push towards like 20-minute kills, sub-20s. It was just getting to that stage and learning it for me. As you can see there, I had like a 24.51, which kind of slow, but I was only on Majora. I feel like a lot of people now just use a yak and just stand in the middle of the room and use a chroming switch and just try and, you know, soak up as much damage as possible. and just be as speedy as possible. So I may go back to this boss in the future, but right now I don't really want to ruin my lovely KCs, but I would like a faster time. I think my PR at the moment is like 21 minutes, maybe a little bit slower, which isn't great, but it isn't bad either, I suppose. Also, I forgot to mention, just after I'd finished doing all of my Zerk, they improved the Calgarian Demon Familiar, which allows you to crit really well, or gives you a crit chance when you use its scroll. I think the scroll only worked for about 10 seconds last time, where it now lasts for a full minute, so I feel like that is a much better option to use rather than a Ripper Demon. And as you can see there, we did the 100 normal mode Zerk, allowing us to reobtain the insane final boss title, and that is my chest there of just common loot, so just over 2 billion commons, which obviously all the uniques I took out the chest, sold and stuck into shards. And I also kept 1 sword, so I made 2 swords overall, sold 1, kept 1 for the near future in case a boss comes out which requires that sword. So moving on to AOD, which was the final boss that I needed again for Gold Reaper. So after not doing this boss for such a long time, after I'd finished a Stalactite, or way before all of God Wars Dungeon 3 came out, it was sort of like a big learning curve, especially since methods have changed and everyone pretty much uses Mage there now, apart from having a Chinner. So yeah, I used the AOD 7 to 10 man Discord just to get going, and through there I met a bunch of people. We all ended up trialing together kind of thing, and we ended up making our own teams, which were not too bad to be fair. I think times were around 150 to 2 minutes, depending on what teams I'd be on, and we managed to snag ourselves a Keeps. One of the praise were right there, and it was the first time actually seeing the collection log pop up as well, which was quite a nice surprise to see, with me only being 2 items off, a 1 down a chest. So yeah, the next pop-up that I'd be getting would be a chest, and you know, I was just buzzing for that, to be fair, knowing that any pop-up that comes up on the screen when a kill ends, I've pretty much completed Gold Reaper, which is a massive motivation boost. So with me getting a lot more comfortable and consistent using a Mage and getting the rotation down, on faster kills, especially sub 150, you do want to maybe bring another combat style, especially since all your stuff will be off cooldown after the last pillar, so your meta and stuff like that. So as you can see there, I have started to melee hybrid, which I think now the meta is actually range brid P3. But yeah, I did actually loot, well, I didn't pick up that core there, but luckily one of the guys in the team did, so I didn't have to fork out 1.2 bill 7 ways, which would have been good. Got myself another core as well there, and I definitely made sure to pick that one up. I stayed there for an extra couple of seconds to make sure that I got that core. But yeah, I think I might start using range brid rather than melee brid, because meleeing on the last pillar and getting bopped by mage hits definitely hurts, and it is not fun, especially when you're quite low HP anyway, and you're limited on food because you only really use blubbers and Guthix restores. So coming in with the last clip and the last drop of this episode, and yeah, that being a chest and completing Golden Reaper, which was insane. I really was not expecting that anytime soon. I was just over 5.4k KC, I believe. KCs will be at the end of the video as always, but yeah, massive shout out to everyone that I've ever PBM'd with and that has taken me bossing, especially AOD, because this was the one I was going to be struggling with the most, trying to find 7 other people willing to do this boss. But yeah, I'm so hyped, kind of still not really set in that it is complete and that I've completed probably one of the hardest PBM feats in the game, that is getting every single collection log completed. Will I end up going for the other 3 chests and completing insane Fallen Angel feat? Maybe one day, I'm really not sure. But yeah guys, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall see you soon in the next one. Love you, bye.